Oh, welcome to the Comic Corner here on Facebook, YouTube, and The Bad Place. My name is Damon. I'm your host. What we got today is does absolute does absolute Superman still need a little bit of something? Does regular Batman need less? And some minor details in minor Arcana. Newest issue came out after a few months of being away. I'm joined today with AF. Good evening to you. Welcome to our new time slot for the fall winter season.
Yep. Fall winter season for you, summer season for me. It was an absolute scorcher of a day today in Cape Town. 31
Oh,
degrees Celsius. That's probably around what, 89 Fahrenheit?
that's
Somewhere around
warm.
that ballpark. So, yeah, it
That's
was
pretty
hot.
warm, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So some warm weather in South Africa, some cooler weather coming up here in the northeast. I already gave you our rundown. Let's get right into it, starting with Absolute Superman, issue 13. This is the not start necessarily, but the second issue of the War of the Battle of Kansas. This is written by Jason Aaron, artist Rafa Sandoval, colors Ulysses Ariola, and letterer Becca Carey. I've been enjoying Absolute Superman. I do think it leans heavier on the sci-fi than some of my favorite Superman titles, which is more of like that grounded Superman, the Superman that has to deal with like some of the people and ground level stuff in Metropolis and Smallville. And this is a very spacey sci-fi type of swing. All the way down to Soul and the Cape and Brainiac and the Lazarus Corp. It's very sci-fi, and that still fits Superman very well. There's plenty of history with Superman and sci-fi. Superman is at its core, in a lot of ways nowadays, a sci-fi story. But for me, AF, I still feel like this book is missing a little bit of something. And in this issue, I've been a little critical because of it. I think this issue is very good. I think this is one of the better absolute Superman issues.
Yeah.
And we get deep into the core of a grounded Superman helping the people of Smallville while also dealing with Lazarus Corp busting into the Kansas. And we see it from the perspective of Lois Lane with her story being written down as like a narrative text. And then every now and then we will get deeper into Kal-El's head and where he is at this moment. But what's been missing for me now, 13 issues in, so we're over a year in, and we are both patient readers. For me, what's been missing is the hope. And I think we got a little bit of it in this issue. I just like a little bit of it. And it goes straight down to that scene of him lifting the tank and helping the people of Smallville, even if this one individual is the one who ratted him out in the first
Yeah.
place when he was a kid. And he turns back and he's like, I want to, his terrible thoughts in his head are like, just like reeling, but he still is like, thank you for helping. Right. I'm like, cool. Hernandez thinks that the action is missing. For me, I don't think in this issue the action is missing. I can understand where that's coming from, at least historically in this series. But for me, it's the hope. And I just want a little bit more of that. And I feel like we're getting there, and I just have to be a little bit more patient.
Yeah.
We'll get into what happens at the end of this issue. But AF, what'd you think about this issue? What have you been thinking about the series overall?
So I've said this before, and like we've all spoken about what's our favorite absolute title, and Absolute Superman is more often than not my favorite title. And this issue, there's one word that I can sum up this issue, and that's introspection. I feel like this Jimmy Olsen, Superman, Lois Lane, they are all having these moments of introspection about like whose side were they on? When did the penny drop for all of them to know which side is the right side? And then with Kal-El himself, he's having all of these like sort of fights within his head about like what he should be doing. Like, this is Earth. These people don't really care about you. You are so different from them. And I mean, they're trying to find themselves. Every character in this issue is like trying to find themselves and trying to sort of like make sense of what's actually happening. And I think the introspection goes very, very hard in this issue. And I don't think that like the action, there is a bit of action, but I think that's not the point of what this issue is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a bit more profound. It's supposed to be a bit deeper than that.
What do you make right now of Ra's al Ghul being the villain of this series? I know there is a help of Brainiac, but does it still feel off that Ra's al Ghul is the villain of a Superman book and not like a Lex Luthor or a more traditional Superman villain?
I don't think it feels off. I think it's a nice little spin on it. What I don't understand, what I'm trying to like question every single time I read one of these issues is, what is his obsession with having a son? I think that's the $1 million question right now that anybody would be asking to Jason Aaron. Like, what is your end game over here with this? Why is this dude so obsessed about making Kal-El his son?
I don't know if it's necessarily the son thing. I'd be fascinated if I know Damien isn't the son of him, but I'd be fascinated if like Damien plays a role in that in a way. But I feel like it's more of just like a phrasing for he wants him to be the tool, right? He wants Superman to be the tool of Lazarus Corp. It's the missing piece. It's the only thing going against him that can stop him.
Which is fine, but I mean, he keeps on using the word son so often. And I mean, like, poor little Talia, she's like chilling over there and she's listening to this all the time. And she's like, I'm your actual blood. I'm like your actual flesh and blood. Like, why not you use me as this tool, as you say? Like, yes, she doesn't have powers or anything like that, but it
I
must be
think
a
it's
bit of
also
a
a play
leap
on
in faith.
words too. I think it's a play on words. Sun, the SUN, is so critically important to
Okay, yeah,
Superman and everything.
that's fair.
And now Ra's al Ghul's like, I want you to be my son. Now, not SUN, but SON. I think it's a play
Yeah,
on words. That would be like a nice introspective way of attacking that.
yeah.
But let's get into like how this ends. So obviously Superman, he's coming to terms with everything. He's still at this point, 13 issues in, doesn't feel like he is the hero that Lois is setting him up to be. Lois is putting out all these broadcasts across the world. No one's really responding yet, trying to make Superman this symbol of hope. And Kal-El has not accepted it because he feels like everything that is happening is because of him in the first place. And he just kind of brings destruction with him. Seemingly, Brainiac has hacked into Soul. RIP Soul for now. Heartbreaking after this last issue that we had where it's like, oh, they made us care for this AI cape. Darn. We knew it was coming. So a little soul crushing there, pun intended. And Ra's al Ghul also has this spear thing seemingly made of kryptonite. So the big battle between Ra's al Ghul and Superman
Yeah.
should be coming in the next issue. I don't know if it will last for multiple issues. I haven't looked at the solicits. Where do you think this is going? Do you think we will wrap up the Ra's al Ghul story in the next couple issues, or will be something that they'll fight, someone will get away, and we'll get back to it later?
I think I'm thinking around about issue 15 or 16. This should be wrapped up.
Okay.
Or I'm hoping for it to be to be wrapped up. I don't really want it to drag on too long. So yeah, I'm hoping for 15 or 16th issue that they wrap this all up.
I'm with you on that. For me, I don't want to say I'm over this. I've been enjoying the Smallville stuff more than some of the previous Lazarus stuff. I think my favorite aspect of this series has been when we went back to see Krypton with what it was and young Kal-El's life. That was the thing that I've really been enjoying about this series. And once again, just to circle it back, I'm ready for this series. I'm ready for this Superman to be about hope because that's always what Superman is, and that's what absolute Superman kind of has to accept that he is. So I'm ready for him to take on that next, seemingly, hopefully, 15, 16 issues. And then we approach that. Because if we're
Yeah.
still dealing with Lazarus Corpus, still dealing with Ra's al Ghul after that, it's going to be like, okay. All right. Because we know Lex Luthor is still in the wing.
Yeah, I mean, we have to get some closure at some point. To they can't keep on, and we know the type of writer that Jason Aaron is. He's not gonna frustrate his fans or his readers that much. So I think he has an end date in time in mind for Ra's al Ghul, for all of these things, and he has things obviously ready for what he plans to do next. And I'm really hoping, like I said, like Absolute Superman is probably my favorite Absolute title at the moment. So I'm hoping that it doesn't disappoint.
There's some pretty in-your-face imagery and talk and tone. You can relate things going on in this book to the current world. I remember I was at Terrificon last year, which is a convention in Connecticut, where Jason Aaron was at alongside with Scott Snyder talking about the upcoming Absolute titles. And Jason Aaron at one point said he wants this to be his DC version of the Jane Foster Thor story, right? And how deep that was, especially with how it ended with, Jane Foster and cancer and everything. 13 issues in, IF. Do you think it's living up to that, or it's still
I think it has a
really
ways to go.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it has a ways to go.
I agree. I think it's put down some of the fundamental foundation for it, but we haven't reached that real gut punch yet for me.
Yeah.
Okay. How would you rate this issue?
I'm giving it a 4 out of 5.
Okay. I gave it, let's see what I gave it. I'm higher than you, and I was a little bit more critical on here. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 just because I really enjoyed it, but I was still feeling like I got that little bit of taste of the hope. I want more of it. I want more of it. But I feel like it will be very rewarding when we get to that point.
Yeah. I think I probably just rated it down a bit because of the dragging out of the Ra's al Ghul stuff. If we had to get a bit more things about Ra's al Ghul head on about what's actually happening and just start to get some moving on that front, then it would have been a bit better. But it's just okay, we are still getting there. We're still waiting for something to happen.
So for me, I've been saying that this book was one that is missing something. And then the other side with DC, we have Batman. This is Matt Fraction Batman, one of my favorite writers. I've said many, many times for those who do not know, Matt Fraction Hawkeye with him and David Aja, my all-time favorite comic series, superhero comic series. This is from artist also Jorge Jimenez, who's incredible, colorist Tomeo Mori, letter Clayton Cowles, and editors Jessica Burbey and Rob Levin. I've been lukewarm on this Batman so far. I've been very lukewarm on it. And I say that in a way where I'm it's fine. I think it's pretty harmless. I don't think it's taking very big swings. I think a lot of it, and there's even something in this issue that they said word for word, is it's just the old is new, right? And I think Batman needed it. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing for Batman right now after some of the craziness that we've been dealing with recently with Batman. That said, there's a lot going on in this book and a lot that's been set up in this issue that I'm pulling back and I'm okay, did we just go from too simple to too much just in this issue alone? And what I mean by that is right now, Tim Drake has been focused on as the Robin in this series. I've been very vocal. Tim Drake is my least favorite Robin. Get at me. I'm sorry. My least favorite Robin. We also have a moment between Bruce and Damian. And they have a very fun dynamic in here. A very great moment of Damian going to university a few years early and Bruce being very open about it and having good conversation with them. And I just like that dynamic more than him and Tim. We also introduced something with Dr. Anika Zeller, who, if I remember correctly, the first issue was dealing with like Killer Croc. And I kept being like, why is Croc having this baby talk and being weird when I've been reading the Poison Ivy series? And DC has been very good about continuity. And I've been reading the Poison Ivy series, and like this is like a completely different character at this point, because in Ivy, he is just normal Killer Croc, can form complete sentences and have a night with Janet from HR. And in here, he's just like losing his mind and can't form a sentence. And I'm like, well, what's going on? So Dr. Zeller in this story, AF, has created a device, almost like a helmet, that can help people who have some mental disorders feel a little bit more calm, a little more, quote unquote, normal, if you will. Example, here we do. Right here on this cover, who's this? It's Riddler. Riddler in this issue cannot stop talking in riddles, to the point where he's like making himself cry. He can't even put down a grocery list without it being a riddle. And he's like losing his mind more than he already has. And I'm like, that's wild considering where Riddler has been, like, in fairly recent, right? And he's going after this device to essentially quiet his mind. So something is going on to make some of these villains worse than they've ever have been. That's what I'm getting at this. I'm like, okay, that's a neat dynamic. But we also have in the last issue, Batman got shot and Tim Drake got injured in between the shootout between cops. And Tim Drake's boyfriend gets involved, who's doing the whole I have to pretend that I don't know he's Robin, even though I know he's Robin thing with Bruce. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's just another element. And we bring in a very done thing, I feel like, where it's okay, the Gotham City Police Department, the new commissioner is just like out against Batman, is just like, I'm going after him and we're stopping vigilantism, which for me, I'm like, I'm literally reading Nightwing right now, and that's line for line pretty much exactly what's been going on over there, to almost to a T. It's kind of crazy. So a little bit of like redundancy in that. And this new commissioner is like just trying to link Batman to the scene of the crime where these two cops were. One of them was essentially trying to take down Batman and saying he's a crazy person. The other one is, hey, he's Batman. We can't just take him out. And they both shoot each other. One of them lives, one of them dies. And so there's a lot going on just in this book alone. As I can see your face just being like, well, what is happening? It's a lot.
It's a lot to digest. Yeah.
It's a lot to digest in this issue. So, as simplified as they've made this, as Matt Fraction has made this Batman, which I appreciate, we then throttled the gas, pedal to the metal, full floor, and we're going. I'm like, okay, I feel like we need to pick a lane. So it's good. Also, Jorge Jimenez's art in here, very good. I don't love the way he draws like Damian into him, like when they're not in costume. But that's like my only gripe. I'm also not a huge fan of the blue Batman suits, but I think it looks cool. And they do a very Matt Fraction thing, like you would have seen in Hawkeye, where anytime Batman uses any sort of tech, like Hawkeye would use any sort of arrowhead, you'd have a little diagram in one of the corners explaining what it looks like and what it is and what it does. And I think that's neat, and it really works pretty perfectly with Batman.
It's very Fraction, yeah.
It's very Fraction, and it works well with Batman. So I still think this is fine. I was a little like pushed back to be like, oh damn, like a lot happened in this issue. So we'll see where it goes. I'm still picking it up. I'm still think it's fine. I'm enjoying it. I'm curious to see where it goes, but I'm not like in love with it.
How long is the first arc supposed to be?
I have no idea.
Okay.
6 issues, I guess. Well, you know, volume wise, like
if you compare this to other Batman stories that you like recently read, I know you don't read a lot of Batman, but
no, I don't. The most Batman I read are essentially Black Label books because they're fairly self-contained stories.
Okay, cool.
So it's fine. I think if you've been frustrated, and I like Chip Zdarsky as a writer, but if you've been frustrated with his run and you wanted a palate refresher, palate cleanser,
Yeah.
I mean, this is it. Seemingly, it seems like people like it.
Yeah. Before we do move on, DCKO Night Fight came out this week as well.
Yes,
I don't know if you ended up reading that or
I
not.
did not. I'm almost refusing to read any tie-in to a book that I'm not reading.
Apparently, the reviews for that book is amazing.
Okay.
The reviews were amazing.
Okay.
So yeah, I can't wait to check that out, because apparently they do some things in there that it's not just a tie-in. It's something that, like, okay, it's actually happening concurrently to DCKO.
Okay. I assume we'll talk about that next week. I'm sure you'll pick that up and we'll chat about
Yeah.
that next week along with any other DC book that will come out. So I give this like another 3.5. I think it's fine.
Okay.
I'm not disliking it. It's just at the beginning of the series, the first two issues, it felt very baseline, very simple, and now we just introduced a ton of elements just in one issue. And I'm like, whoa, okay. I fear that we may need to pick a lane. So it's fine.
Cool.
To Marvel, our Marvel book of the week, all new Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider, written by Stephanie Phillips, artist Paolo Villanelli, colorist Matt Miller, letterer Ariana Mayer, and editors Emerald Benzadoun, Martin Biro, and Jordan D. White. I know you really enjoyed the first quote unquote volume of Spider-Gwen. And now we are into a new quote unquote volume. In the end, it's all one story. It's all written by the same writer. How is this third issue? Is this new volume something you can dive right into without needing to know anything that happened previously in that first big volume that dealt with like Loki and the TVA and all that jazz? Or can you just go into this?
Yeah, no, you can definitely just go into this. They actually give the user enough insight into what happened in those first 15 issues. So yeah, like you can dive right in from issue one. She's on a new Earth. She is one of the things that she misses the most about her previous Earth is her band. So she tries to form a new band, and it's herself. And as I mentioned when we were reviewing the first 15 issues, I really just want to see Gwen Stacy and Cindy Moon in a series together. And essentially, we are getting it in this, because Cindy joins the band. She's the bassist for her new band, and it's really
Sure.
cool. But there is every issue some member of the band gets injured or put in hospital or something like that. So in the first issue, it is the lead singer called Wes. He is attacked and he gets sent to the hospital. In the second issue, it's Cindy. She tries taking on this killer with like knives for hands, and just like you can see on the cover, it's just like really, really frightening. And then the third issue, the one that I'm going to speak about now, we found out what this thing actually is. So when Gwen used the cosmic cube to sort of make this new Earth her permanent home, bring her dad back, all of those things, she let go of the symbiote that was giving her the spider powers previously before the cosmic cube. That symbiote has now grown its own sort of mind and is latching onto so many different people and killing people or trying to injure people related to Gwen, because it literally read everything about Gwen when it was attached to her, when it was connected to her, that it knows everything about her. So she calls the symbiote Tantrum. That is the name of the symbiote, because she's like, you just upset that I don't want to be a part of you
He's
anymore.
throwing a tantrum.
So
Yeah.
so she calls the symbiote Tantrum, which is funny. And at the end of it all, it's Agent Anti Venom that comes to save the day,
Oh,
Flash
Lord have
Thompson.
mercy.
So they're going to be working together. That's the to be continued part at the end of this book. They're going to be working together to get rid of Tantrum. And it's fun, dude. It's a fun book. Stephanie
I
Phillips
roll my
knows
eyes
the reader.
just because I am so over symbiotes. I am so over it. And I wish TJ was here for this too, because we all know his opinions on King in Black, and he loves King in Black and Donny Cates and everything. And then ever since, it's just been symbiote overload, and now we're doing Queen in Black, and he's throwing his Thor head into a wall as well. So sure, I'm glad you're enjoying it. For me, this arc doesn't sound like this would be for me. I do
Yeah,
like Ghost Spider. I do like Gwen Stacy as a character. I'm personally just not a symbiote person. I am so over it. And
that's fair.
I know there's just more coming.
That's fair. Like I think that this is probably going to be like a 5 or 6 issue arc, just to get rid of Tantrum, just to get rid of the symbiote, and she can move on and do things. But yeah, I'm just happy that we get Gwen and Cindy together doing things. That's
I,
amazing.
I'm glad too. I have thrown the idea around because there's so many spider characters, and Silk is just one of those where it's like she just gets a mini and it ends.
Yeah,
Honestly, Ghost Spider, Spider-Gwen was one of those two where she get like a mini and it would just end. So I was in the mindset of being like, why don't we bring back Amazing Fantasy and just turn that into like a
yeah,
Spider-Man anthology series, and that way you can have stories with all of these spider characters, and
yeah.
you can have them keep going if you want to turn it into a main series. So I'm glad, in a way, that's sort of happening just within a Spider-Gwen book that is now ongoing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like
How
it.
would you rate this issue?
I'm gonna give it a 3.5
Okay.
out of 5. Yeah, I think
Fun
that's
little
fair.
book. Don't take it too seriously.
Yeah.
Okay. Last book of the week. Pretty light week for the both of us. I have Minor Arcana from Jeff Lemire, writing and drawing. Colors Patricio Del Peche, letters Steve Wands, editors Maya Bollinger and Eric Harbour. What is Minor Arcana for those who don't know? It's a Great Boom Studios book. This is Jeff Lemire's love letter to Vertigo Comics, much like how Black Hammer was his love letter to superhero comics. And if you have not read his Black Hammer, go do so because it is incredible. This deals with a character named Teresa. Her mom owns a tarot psychic card reading shop, and she always thought that her mom was just kind of full of it. And then one day she learned she has these psychic powers that her mom seemingly does not have, but she does. So whenever she can kind of touch someone, she can see that person's future vaguely played out in what the story of a tarot card would give you. But in the meanwhile, there has been an ongoing mystery throughout this town that she returned home to. Her mom also very, very sick. What happened this last issue, which happened months ago, by the way, which I do think hurts these series because I kind of have to get back and be like, what happened? It's been so long since I've read you, and this doesn't feel like a new volume. This feels like I'm picking up on issue 3 of a 6-issue volume, and I'm like, what happened last issue? And I think Jeff did a pretty decent job of trying to like kind of recollect me a little bit, even though it's like mid story. I'm like, okay, thank you for doing that, because I think we all understand that that had to be done. And what happened was her mom's new boyfriend, Miles, was beat up by a gang and had to be sent to a hospital. I'm like, oh no, why did he get beat up? It has something to do with like a dam and some things going on in the town. And there's this secret mystery organization that has like the Illuminati symbol. And we're like, what's going on? And that's kind of what happens in this issue. Some answers, more mysteries. I'm like, okay, we got like a little bit of an issue, which is somehow Miles had something to do with this organization, was in the way by protesting because he's a little bit of a hippie, and they beat him up. So they're now investigating and looking into more things, and that's what happens this issue. It's a very like tweener arc, like not tweener arc, but like a very issue 3 type story. So it's fun. I do enjoy it when Jeff Lemire does his own art in his books. It is a very distinct style. You get used to it if you don't like it, trust me. but I think it suits this very well. I just like the vibes of this series. Teresa is a character that is intentionally very unlikable, something like a John Constantine, but just a little grumpier and just has a little bit more of an edge to her. And she's cool.
That dude on the left side on that cover looks like Lobo.
He does. Do you think he's just looking at him? Do you think he's a good guy or a bad guy?
Uh, I'm thinking by the cross that is waiting on his chest, he might be a good guy.
Hmm.
I think
Or is that
the
there intentionally? We don't know.
ooh,
Ooh.
and the dude in the middle looks like Teabag from Prison Break. He doesn't look like a good guy.
Yeah, I like the characters that he draws in here. It's a cool series. If you like Vertigo comics, if you like Jeff Lemire's stories, just get into this. We are now on issue 11 here. So if you like Jeff Lemire stories, go pick it up. They're really cool. My favorite issue of this was kind of a standalone issue, and it dealt with Teresa finally coming to terms with her and the psychic shop that was her mom's, and just kind of owning it and dealing with a, a person that came in and was dealing with a lot. And I thought the way Jeff Lemire handled that issue was very well done. And I think that's still my favorite issue of the series. Again, my only gripe with it is it's been months since the last issue, and we're in the middle of an arc, and I just almost completely forgot what's been going on. I think this is one of those stories that reads very well in trade. So the first trade is out, second trade coming out very soon. So go pick them up. Give this issue like a 4 after I had to go back and read issue 10. I'll be honest. But I did, and I was like, okay, we're caught up, and I think this is a good setup issue to the big mystery that is unfolding. Next week, a little bit more books from all over the place. We're back on our Ultimate train. Ultimate Black Panther, Ultimate Wolverine is next week. On the DC side for me, AF, I have Supergirl number 7 and Superman the Kryptonite Spectrum number 4. That is from the creative team of Ice Cream Man, for those who do not know. So it's strange and cool at the same time. It deals with Superman essentially testing out new kryptonites on himself and finding out what they do while Lex is still seemingly trying to kill him. Fun story there. Also, we had a Stephanie Phillips book this week. Well, Stephanie Phillips book next week. It is Grimm 25 AF. It's the last issue of Grimm. If you want the most Stephanie Phillips book to ever Stephanie Phillips, go pick up this series. It's the last issue. It deals with the story of a girl who's a Grim Reaper who has no idea how she died, because in this universe, all the Grim Reapers used to be people and then they turned into Reapers. But this one had no idea about her life prior. So, what's her story? And we go through it. This is the final issue. It is very, very cool. And I know we're just off a spooky season, but one of the League of Comic Geeks goals for the last week of October was to read a book about a serial killer. And if you want that, Beneath the Tree, Where Nobody Sees. This is the second volume, a sequel called Rite of Spring. Issue 4 is out next week. I'll try to bring it up because I really enjoy that series. AF, what you got?
I only have 2 books next week, and that is Supergirl number 7, and I want to try out Batman Static Beyond number 1. It seemed to intrigue me a bit when I did the previews. So yeah, I want to check that out. Looks cool.
I don't know. You've been reading Supergirl as well?
Yeah, I'm like, I think I'm only 5 issues in, so I'll be 2 issues behind. But yeah,
What'd you like of it so far? It's a pretty just like light-hearted book.
it's light. It's light. That's what I like about it. It's like you don't have to take it too seriously. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Fun book, very lighthearted. Go check it out. It's not at the same level at all of like Woman of Tomorrow, which is a very hard, depressing, real look at Kara. This is just like a light story where she's back in the town as Kara Danvers and just dealing with some like collegey high school stuff. It's very light. It's very bubbly. So if that interests you, what I said, go check that out. Whew, wow, we kind of flew through this episode today. Very, very easy comic corner. We have a bunch of interviews out already. I did one with Kelly Thompson where he talked all about Absolute Wonder Woman, which is my favorite Absolute book. We also have one out next week where I like to do a little indie inklings every now and then to promote some actual indie comics. I do love my Boom Studios. I do love Image and Dark Horse, but to me, those aren't like true indie comics. Those are still big publishers, but real indie comics written by people who are funding it themselves on like Kickstarter. And we have a book out next week that we will be talking about with a buddy that I met at New York Comic Con. His name is James Parrish, and he has a book called Detonator. Detonator asks the question, how far would you go for your best friend? And then what if your best friend was one of the most powerful superheroes in the world, but he's just in a bit of a slump? He's been depressed. He's not leaving his room. What would you do, AF? Would you blow up his house to get him out of his room and become a supervillain? Because that's what this guy did.
Wow.
It's a pretty cool story. It's a pretty cool. That's
That's
the
a cool
elevator pitch.
premise.
It's a pretty
Yeah.
cool. It's a pretty cool premise. So if that interests you, the Kickstarter for that begins next Tuesday. We'll have a video with myself and James chatting all about it and teasing another book that he has coming out potentially next year. As always,
Nice.
go to your local comic shop. Go to comicshoplocator.com to find the nearest comic shop near you. Go read some books, everyone. Stay well. Stay safe. We'll see you next week at our wintry Southern Hemisphere summary time slot at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, everyone. We'll see you then.